Welcome to Eye Level to High Level, where real talk meets real results. I'm Jimmy Rios, and each week we break down the mindset, money moves, and strategies you need to elevate your life and business. Let's level up. Welcome to the Eye Level to High Level podcast. I am excited that you're tuning in today. I had the pleasure of having our friend Cortland Watson on our show right before the Thanksgiving holiday. And I was so impressed that I said, you got to bring your wife and I'll do the same. And so today is going to be a special treat. We're going to do a two-part special. This one, we're going to really get to know Cortland and Simone Watson and let us know a little bit about who they are and what they do. And then on the second part, we're going to get a little deeper into their business model and what they're doing. But I really wanted to take this opportunity in the first part to get deeper into having a business with your other half, and some of the nuances that can go with that, the good and the bad, and some of the challenges as a couple. I think there's other people out there that are listening that have businesses, and maybe they're thinking about doing something together. Maybe they're not. Maybe there's a lot of kind of a tug of war sometimes between couples when it comes to going into entrepreneurship and taking that leap of faith that it's going to be the best thing for the family. So I wanted to start by introducing you guys. If you could give us a little snippet of who you are, and then we'll just start talking and having fun with this.
Awesome. I'm gonna let Simone do it because she's better at introducing us. She gives more truth than I do.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, my name's Simone. This is Cortland. And we have been married 10 and a half years. We are both originally from Arizona. We love the warm weather. We learned that and solidified that opinion after living in Idaho and Utah for a few years while we were going to school. So we're happy to be in Arizona. We have 4 children. They are 9, 7, 5, and 3. So they're all very little and very energetic. And we homeschool our kids, so they are always here. And that is a lot of fun and has its own difficulties, especially as both of us are trying to also pursue entrepreneurship.
Yeah. No, you guys are you guys have your hands tied up with a lot of things, but I mean, I'm always telling Sylvia how I admire you guys because I mean, when I was in I can only assume, right, without knowing exactly how old you are, that you're somewhere in your 30s, right? Am I close to that?
Yeah.
Somewhere?
Yep.
Okay, good. But when I was in my 30s, and Sylvia can speak on her experience, we were I was still very immature, right? I was still very egotistical and wanted to do it all my way. I had kids, but I wasn't really there yet as a father, like mentally, to embrace that challenge. And I was going through my own challenges with a divorce and all those things that go with that. So imagine going through all that. And then at the same time, I was in business for myself, right? So it was really tough in juggling all those different roles and mindsets and different things. I mean, when you were in your 30s, how was that for you?
Well, I was a mother of I was a mother of a teenager at that time.
Yeah.
Single mother, doing it all on my own. I wasn't even in the mind. It wasn't even in my thought to be, any kind of entrepreneur. I was in a 9 to 5 job, just trying to make ends meet, working paycheck to paycheck.
Paycheck, all right. So what was that moment between you two? 10 years married, 4 kids, right? We met about probably 4 years ago,
About 4.5
right?
years
About
ago.
4.5 years ago, and when we moved out to Maricopa, we go to the same church, and we got to school your daughter in Sunday school, which was amazing. So we got to get to know you guys a little bit, but I mean, ultimately, this move into entrepreneurship didn't happen overnight. Tell us on your side what that trajectory looked like for both of you.
Yeah, well, for me, it was a little bit difficult for me because when we started, I was also working 9 to 5, and just in my upbringing, I grew up with a stepfather who was an alcoholic and drank heavily, and then my father was dealing with kind of everything that was associated with divorce and trying to raise kids and everything that has to go with that. So both my parents are both sides. They're manual laborers, right? We
Yeah.
got mechanics and retail managers, and my father currently works as a with chimneys, right? Building, cleaning chimneys. And so just this concept of entrepreneurship was never really something that was on my mind,
Right.
like working, showing up, and my grandparents before them, farmers and ranchers. So it was showing up for work. You just
Yeah.
show up, you do it, you put in the hours, and then that's it. So it was really difficult for me. And Simone grew up in a totally different household where it wasn't the same, right? So for me, it was kind of being stuck in that rut, and especially with my personality, I really struggle with leadership because I always thinking of ways to improve and change, and they just want everything to just stay as is.
Right.
So as I was starting to realize that and realize that, hey, I have these ideas, I have opportunities, I have things I want to pursue, I have passions. It was difficult for me to come to this thought of, hey, maybe we should do something on our own.
Yeah, and for me, I've always been in the mindset of like, I'm gonna be at the top. I don't want to work for anyone. I'm gonna make a lot of money and like I want to be my own boss. Like I literally have memories of playing with Barbies and it's like my Barbies are millionaires and like they are
That's
boss
awesome.
Barbies.
That's
And
so cool.
I grew up in a house where my father, he's a boiler maker, so he does welding, but he worked his way to the top and branched off and from the company and had his own company within it and kind of became like a contractor for
Yeah.
them. And then I have my other brother, my oldest brother, who's a world renowned pianist and just has made his living developing his talent and just being awesome. My
Wow.
sister made wedding cakes and did culinary school and had her own business, and then my other brother is also does welding and flooring and just all this cool stuff and is always doing side projects and making money different ways. And so to me, it was just like that's how you do it because they're doing
Right.
really good, they're happy, they're doing what they love, and that's what I wanted to do.
Were there any like limiting beliefs that you had to like break through when you guys were, obviously it sounds to me like you both have the personality types to want to be an entrepreneur. This is not something I don't think that is for everyone, right? There's some people that it's just not going to work for them. They're very grounded inside of a mentality and a mindset that
That was
is
me.
that is very difficult, right? But
I
but
like the stability.
correct. But there is something that goes with that because taking somebody like a Sylvia and over the course of time being able to mold her and well, she molded herself, but giving her the tools and the different examples that she undertook, she doesn't realize it now because it's hard sometimes to look at yourself from afar. But I've seen her grow in ways that I mean that were just I never thought she would do some of the things she's doing now in social media and coming out and really getting a voice for herself, and that the creative side of being able to put her brand out there. That was something that she's always said I would never do. And talking to people and selling and doing these things that she was like, nope, I'll be behind the scenes, I'll process, I'll be the paper pusher, whatever. And now I see her becoming her own boss, doing her own things, right? Really taking the bull by the horns, which I'm very proud of, and I give you a lot of props for that, because I can only do so much in giving her the tools and showing her some of the things. A lot of what you see out there now, it's her, and she goes to classes, she's listening to different things to learn, and it takes a lot of work. People think it's so easy to just start your business, and that's a myth that I want to debunk with a couple that is doing it. And I want you guys to tell us, and tell those listening, what are I guess, just to paint the real picture of what are the challenges of becoming an entrepreneur, that and not to dissuade anybody either, because I definitely feel that you have to take those chances to be able to get to the other side and see what it's about. But what would you guys think are some of the myths that are out there in trying to start your own business?
Yeah, and I'll jump in and speak to that a little bit. The number one thing that I would say is that you have to be comfortable in discomfort. There are so many times that, since Simone and I have started this journey, where we're trying to figure out life, finances, who does what. She does this, I do this. She's doing it one way, but I thought it was going to be a different way. So there's so much learning and growth that we've had to have conversations that we've never had before.
Wow.
We've had to discuss things that we never thought we'd discuss. We've had to present things in different ways, because now we're not just life partners, now we're business partners, and we're trying to accomplish a goal. And she has one perspective, I have a totally different. But then also at the same time, you mentioned this a little bit, Jimmy, where you talked about limiting self-beliefs, right? Limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
You get to know those really quickly about the other person,
Yeah.
especially when you're working together as business partners. And, I think that Simone, she's always kind of had this entrepreneurial spirit about her. So she's had to deal with a lot of those about myself, right? Where she's able to see them. And that difficult conversation of Simone, like, hey, like, I think that you can do this, right? When I'm sitting there in my, fetal position, like, I can't do this, I can't do this, right? And her kind of helping me to get over it. Or, just a more clear example. I am really social. I really like being around people. I get energy from being around other people. I hate being the like spotlight and trying to make myself look good, or trying to make myself appear to know something. And that was really difficult for me to try to kind of present myself in a way that, we could kind of present ourselves as the masters or the experts in a certain
The
field.
gurus.
The gurus, because I just all my life growing up being bullied on many occasions, I never really believed that about myself, that I was good at anything or the expert in anything. So just in our kind of entrepreneurial journey, we've had to encounter that, and in full transparency,
Yeah.
we've had to encounter that together. And that's something that I think is really difficult in terms of our partnership.
You
Yeah.
mentioned earlier how important communication was. Simone, can you talk a little bit about that, and how you two have been able to communicate better, or maybe some of the challenges that you have faced in communication with the business? Because there's one thing about being able to talk about personal family things, right? when it's not money, business, decisions? How do you guys manage to take off one hat, the family hat or husband, wife, and then put on the entrepreneurial, business-minded hat? And what do we got to do? Discipline, schedules, money that goes in and out of the business. How do you guys manage that? That's a whole job in and of itself.
Yeah. So when we're really on top of things, it's great. Like we will sit down and Cortland and I will have a couples council and we will go over our schedule for the week. We'll put things in our calendar, make sure we're both aware of what's going on. And then we'll, you should see our crazy whiteboards. Like we have probably 20 20 feet worth of whiteboards with just all this stuff, our different businesses, our family plans, our calendar, all this stuff. So we're in this room looking at all this stuff and we see all these lists of to-dos and things. And together we would look at it and say, okay, what's a priority? And we number it 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we color code it like I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And you do the ones in red, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so we kind of we establish our roles, our responsibilities, and then we bring it to our family. We have a little family council meeting with our children, and we let them feel involved and voice their opinions about things and how they're working in our family unit. And then when we're really, really on top of things, we have those one-on-one sessions with our kids and talk about what's going on in their life and how we can help them. And when we have this counseling in our couple and our family and with our individual children, it really helps us all be on the same page as to what our roles are and helps us see a clear vision of what we need to accomplish. And there have definitely been times when we're not doing that weekly like we want to, where things just kind of fall out of place, get pushed under the rug. Cortland and I maybe haven't communicated on what we're doing, and so we both have different ideas and we're working differently, and then where you're like, wait, well, I thought it was going to be this way and I've already been doing that. And anyway, so we've had to just really stay focused on, before we start big projects, discussing them, laying out like what's your job going to be and what's mine. And a lot of the times lately mine has been, I'm going to pull back and let you take the lead because I'm leading the children at home and doing homeschool stuff, and at the same time I do still have a lot of ideas and input and stuff. So just making sure that we come together and communicate is really important.
I can't even imagine, Cortland, when you had your 9 to 5, how could you do both at the same time with starting a business? And because when I tried that, I mean, there was many times I had to go back to work in corporate while I was still trying to build the business, and I felt pulled. Emotionally, I wanted to run my business. I wanted to have the success inside my business. I didn't want to be pulled to somebody else's demands and schedules, right? I wanted to be my own boss. And I was miserable in the job, even though I was making good money. I was hating the job to the point that I was like, I felt like I was in a room like ready to just blow up, go through the roof. And that for me was probably going to lead me back to, it was bad vibes. It was probably going to lead me to addiction or maybe fights with fights with my wife. I don't know. It was everything that was bad, and I didn't know how to deal with it, right? And so eventually at some point I said, I can't do this anymore. And I chose to go 100% into my business, right? And that had its own set of challenges in and of itself to go 100% committed to make it work. Because if you don't make it work, the alternate is very devastating, right? For a lot of people, when it doesn't work, you have to file bankruptcy, which is a domino effect to many marital problems in and of itself. And then, it causes a lot of stress on the family unit. And we had, with no lies, we went through all those steps, all those emotions as a couple. For us, a big part of us coming together stronger was our faith, right? And that really helped us piece everything together and give us kind of that guidance that we needed. How has faith molded and helped you guys as a couple, as a young couple, in business and with your kids? Give us a little blurb on that.
For us, uh, Simone had a leader once that shared with her that you need to want the same things to the same degree. And that has been, vital to our success as a couple, because as we are pursuing different adventures, we've always included our faith in that process, right? So when Simone and I, when we're going through things, we'll often take it to prayer, and we'll try to coordinate and work and kind of process everything. And it always comes back to us sitting down and praying together and working together, including that faith in the journey. When you mentioned, right, the ups and the downs of everything that we do, and without having a belief in God and ultimately Jesus Christ, there wouldn't be this sense of we are more capable than what we're currently doing. Because I think that, and this may be just for me and not for Simone, but we see the results of our labor all the time, and we identify with the results of the labor. So then to have this idea or this construct that we're greater than that, that would be a difficult thing to do. But knowing that there is kind of this higher power, this God that we have access to, has really enabled us to take some steps, even when it was extremely scary to jump in at 100%, working that 9 to 5 and feeling sick and, disgusted and, unhappy and trying to do things partly, it just wasn't working anymore. And together, and, faith and prayer, we kind of made that decision where I guess we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
So faith has been vital in all that process.
So
Yeah.
how long? Oh, go ahead, Simone.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I wouldn't be okay with this struggle that you go through as when you do make that switch from 9 to 5 to jumping in. There's like a drop, like there's no money coming in for a minute. And I would not be okay with that had I not had confirmation through prayer, and had Cortland not also received confirmation through prayer that this was the right choice, and that if we put our trust in God, that he'd help us through this. Like, that's the only thing keeping us going. It's not faith in ourselves. I do believe that we have what it takes, but it's my faith in God that he's going to support us through this that is really the motivating factor for me.
Was there ever a time between you two? Because between us two, we're totally different, right? So I don't know with you two how alike or different you are, but with us, it is like what do they say, oil and water? It's like
Yin and yang,
yeah.
oil and vinegar.
Yeah, oil and vinegar, right? So she's very analytical. She's what's the word? Like she wants things organized.
I got to see it to
She's got
believe
to see
it.
it to believe it.
Yeah.
She's like the engineer. If she was ever anything else, she'd be like, she needs to see everything and put it together, and it's like that, right? I'm more of type A personality, off the cuff. go knee-jerk reaction. If if it shines, I'm trying to catch it, like a cat. I'm very out there talking to people, and she's more shy, quieter, right, behind the scenes. But together, we've balanced each other very well, and she's given me some insight, some discernment. So I guess you could say in how to read people better. She's got the spidey sense that something's not right or somebody's not right for me, and I'm like trying to be like, what's wrong? I don't get it. And she sees it. And many of the bad decisions I've made in our tenure together has been because I didn't listen to her spidey sense, right? And she was like, all right, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and you're gonna learn.
Yeah, I had to let him go and go through it and live through it
Yeah,
to just, and that was a lot for me to
Yeah.
just know that I had that feeling and to just let him go ahead and go through it and let him figure it out for himself.
and that alone, I think, says a lot because, I mean, I think for anybody to be able to just say, all right, go, right? And she can, in her way of being, she can want to have that control. But for her to be able to let that go and be like, okay, go ahead, that was a big step, right? And in growth for
Yeah.
her, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
Usually I want to control everything.
And
Well, and for us, Jimmy, I wanted to
yeah,
jump in here. One of the things for us is that I'm very much like you. I'm very ADHD like,
yeah,
and I'll just kind of be jumping from one thing to the next. But I'm also very emotional,
yeah,
And Simone is so logical that in her mind it is so simple. It's like, why are you not doing this? Whereas on my side, I'm like, okay, well, there's this and this and this and this and this and this. And then if I do this, then these all change. And now we're doing this. And she's like, why?
So
Like,
she's
no,
she's
just do
more
this.
she's more like, let's just break it down to simplicity. You're going through the whole thing, like doing the what ifs and this.
I
Like,
kind of
Well,
see
not
like
necessarily. It's just that
big
she
picture.
sees the big picture
yeah,
really simple.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I see a lot of complexity.
He's like
yes,
in the wire works, like, wait, but how does this? And I'm looking at it out here and I'm like, dude, it's right here. Like,
that's amazing. That's good stuff.
but it's good because, like, again, he goes in and he's in the trenches and learns all these crazy things and tries all these different things out where I'm not that way. So we do really do complement each other. And also I'm like such a perfectionist where if I need to put something out there, I could spend all day and never get it out. Where he's just like he's more okay with putting out lower quality stuff and just getting it out there,
Yeah,
which is more important because if it were all up to me, we'd probably not have a business right now because I'd be working so hard to perfect it.
right.
So we do good with that. Like he'll do a rough draft of something and I'm like, "Okay, can I have that for like just 10 minutes? I'm going to make it pretty." And it works out.
It does work out. And it's a little frustrating too because my stuff is really pretty. It's just, no, but I wanted to throw in, this last piece too, just on this topic. I don't know if you want to. Anyway, the when we when we've been together for the past 10 years, we've been able to identify ways in which we work together really well.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden we added in a business component. And all of those things that we thought that we did, really well, or that we did poorly, or whatever it may be, got pushed to the back burner. And now there's this whole new side of each other that we're having to learn.
yeah,
And that process of relearning or introducing ourselves to each other on such a different level it, one, has been super beneficial to us because we see each other in a different light now.
Yeah.
But then two, we also just kind of understand our strengths and our weaknesses a little better. So
Right.
now it's really easy where I'll be working on something, I'll just be cranking it out, and then I come up with the final product, and then I take it to Simone, and I'm like, hey, I need you to go spend 30 minutes on this. And then she
Nice.
goes and does her thing. And but at the beginning, it was really difficult because of that thing where she
Yeah.
wanted it to be perfect. I was like, we just need to get out there. And but with time and being okay in the discomfort, it's become something that's really beneficial to our business because we take that time to work with each other and understand those strengths.
That's amazing. You guys are awesome. I'm so glad we're doing part two coming up because there's a lot that I want to talk about, and there's never enough time, right? These things go very quick, but I know it's invaluable information that a lot of couples listening need, and I really thank you guys for being part of the show and for helping us, bring the eye level to high level podcast out to those listening. So let's break on this one. We're going to come back and we're going to continue and have more fun in the studio here. And thank you for tuning in to the High Level podcast. And we'll talk to you again here very soon. Thanks for tuning in to High Level to High Level. If you're ready to rise above the average, subscribe, share, and follow us for more ways to take your grind to greatness. Until next time, keep pushing higher.